What's going on, guys? This is Mr. DeLORIAN here. Welcome back to a brand new video. And today what I want to do is talk about and break down the trailer we got from Fear the Walking Dead Season 7, Episode 3. So this episode seems to have two major plot points. One being the beginning of the feud slash mini all-out war between Victor Strand and Morgan, and the other being John Sr. and June and how their life has been during the apocalypse slash wasteland. Because in Episode 1, we did touch on Victor Strand and his whole community and how he's built up and all of that, and who he is now inside the wasteland. In Episode 2, we followed up with, figuring out how Morgan and Grace are doing during the wasteland, the apocalypse, and the nuclear fallout. And now it's finally time in Episode 3 to figure out what's going on with John Sr. and June, while also getting a bit of what's going on between Morgan and Strand. So with all that out of the way, and without further ado, let's hop right into the breaking down the trailer for Fear the Walking Dead Season 7, Episode 3. So first, let's go over the main episode plot point, which is June and John Sr. So basically, telling by this trailer, John and June Sr. have been down inside Teddy's bunker for 69 days, and what's weirdly, specified on this poster or this chalkboard is it does say 296 days till opening, which I do wonder what that means. Maybe they're so paranoid about going out into the wasteland that they'll get radiation sickness or dies that they maybe think it's gonna go away in 296 days, and that's when they could finally go out. Because during the Season 7 official trailer for Fear the Walking Dead Season 7, it did really seem that John and June were starting to get very paranoid about whether it's safe up there and everything, and I think John even questioned June, saying I thought you said it was radiated and bad to go up there. But obviously, Morgan and Grace in Episode 2, they are eventually going to have to go into the wasteland, which is obviously what they eventually do, because I'm assuming they're starting to go crazy down there, not knowing what's going on up there, and basically are probably running out of supplies like John and with Morgan and Grace were in Episode 2. Because in this trailer, it does seem that John and June Sr.'s life is actually going well down inside the bunker, until eventually one day John does snap at June, saying, "Is it really as dangerous as you says it is up there?" To which we do follow up with some shots of John Sr. outside in the wasteland, basically talking to a stranger, saying you shouldn't be out here without protection, which I do honestly think this is either one, a CRM soldier, two, one of the Stalkers from the new enemy group that was introduced in Episode 1 by Strand's group, and then one of their new characters that was killed in Episode 1 that I can't seem to remember right now. It's either them and everything, or the CRM, or Morgan's group, or not Morgan's group, but basically, actually after rewatching the trailer, I do think this is the woman from the Season 7 trailer that had her mouth sewn shut, which will obviously be very, very scary and probably trigger some horrific flashbacks for John Sr. on what Teddy might have been doing to the women down below in his bunker, which will just be absolutely horrible to watch and very, very terrifying. Because the Stalkers can be seen throughout this episode and everything, or at least I do think it is the Stalkers basically firing back and forth with, I think, John Sr. or June. Because the person that we do see firing in the trailer doesn't look like to be it looks like the Stalkers, but it doesn't look like they're firing at anyone else but John and June or anything. So maybe a war or breakout fight will happen between them. Because also in this trailer, we do get to see between John and June or anything, when someone does come down inside their bunker and does start trying to fish out and get out John and June or anything, and possibly even kill them. Because we do see someone in the Season 7 trailer, and I think even in this trailer, we do see someone in a hazmat suit walking down there where June's hiding from them, and I think they do eventually find her and point a gun at her. So obviously John and June will have some form of run-in with the Stalkers. Most likely that's the group that they'll have a run-in with in this episode and everything, and have some scruffles back and forth. So that's really John and June and Senior and the Stalkers plot point or anything, is that basically they're gonna eventually have a breaking point where they need to get the hell out of the bunker and go scavenge for food and everything, but obviously be very scared and unsure whether if it's safe out there and everything, but eventually have a run-in with the Stalkers where they do come down to the bunker, they have a firefight outside. Also, it's very weird in this trailer, there is a flashing shot, I think, of somebody on a table, basically a surgery or surgical table, and obviously it does seem to be down inside the bunker. So I wonder if John Sr. is gonna have some flashbacks of what could have happened to the women inside Teddy's really fucked up with a screwed up laboratory. But moving on to the next plot point in the episode, which is the beginning of the all-out war between Victor Strand and Morgan. So it does seem this episode that Victor Strand and Morgan will be having a conversation sometime in the episode, because obviously it shows Victor Strand inside his camp's armory, where he's basically saying to Morgan, "You failed and I'm gonna take over, I'm gonna be the new light of the apocalypse and everything, doing it better than you did, because obviously you got everyone killed." In the Season 7 trailer, Morgan pretty much agreed with Victor, saying you should lead, you should make the world a better place, but if I do find out that you hurt anyone that I love, I will come after you. Now, what's very weird about this point in the episode, or this point in the trailer, when Morgan is saying this to Strand, out in the wasteland, it does look like Morgan is looking at someone, so I do wonder if maybe from a distance he's looking at Strand's camp or whatever, because it does look like Morgan is definitely 110% looking at someone, not a walker, but someone. And obviously when he's talking to Victor in this scene, what's very, very weird is that Victor's inside of his camp, or at least somewhere inside of an armory that's most likely inside of his camp, but also Morgan's on the wasteland. So I wonder who Morgan is looking at. But we do get to see Morgan walking outside in the wasteland and everything after, like, Morgan and Grace return to the submarine after, like, episode 2 and that whole debacle, and they eventually did find food. So I do wonder why Morgan's going out to the wasteland, possibly to have a conversation with Victor and everything after they did, like, Morgan and Grace did have a run-in with his group in episode 2. But I do wonder, why is he, like, going out to the wasteland? Like, obviously, like I said, they have food, they have, like, possibly water in the underground compartment that they did find in episode 2 in the submarine. So in my opinion, I definitely do think it's either to talk to Strand or maybe go on and scavenge. Yet again, they did find a ton of food, so I can't see why they're scavenging, so I can only think it is to go, like, maybe just out into the wild so they're not stuck inside the submarine, or it's gonna go talking to Strand and everything, or maybe even find some of the other survivors. I don't know. Also, a very interesting shot that's seen in the trailer for this episode is that we did see a bunch of walkers at the gates of Strand's, like, community or hotel. And what's very weird is, like, this is completely unrelated to breaking down the trailer, but this shot looks so much out of The Walking Dead. It's mainly because of the walkers and how they look and the color grading and everything, and basically how it kind of looks like The Walking Dead look. But also, like, telling about the shot, the, like, growing, the horde is growing outside of Victor's community and everything, making it probably gonna be very hard for anyone to leave or get inside of his community. But like I said, this shot in, like, the color grading, how the walkers look and how the horde looks and everything looks so much out of The Walking Dead, which is really cool. But what's also very weird in Victor's kind of, like, bunker or kind of armory scene right here is he does say over the loudspeaker, bring him. Or he could be saying bring them, but like, it really does sound like he says bring him. So I do wonder who he's talking to, because obviously when he was talking to Morgan, he's basically saying you failed and everything, but now that, like, Victor's like, he's saying bring him, I do wonder what he's talking about. He could be talking about maybe Morgan bringing Mo to the like, Victor's hotel community, and like, Morgan's like, I want you to take care of him and everything, and obviously that could be the person that Morgan loves, that Victor hurts and everything at all, that Morgan will come after him, and he's giving Mo up like he wanted to in episode 2. So obviously he can have a better life inside an area that's, like, not so hostile, like obviously the submarine and being on the wasteland constantly 24/7. So this could be Morgan giving up, like, Mo to Victor and everything, and basically saying, like, bring him to us and everything, and he'll be safe here. Or this could also be maybe, like, because obviously Victor's gonna be bringing obviously a lot of people into his community, or Morgan's gonna be bringing people into his community. And obviously if it was Victor Strand's group that is going after, like, June and John Sr., maybe he's saying to his group after talking to Morgan, saying, like, bring John and June here, and maybe that's where they end up at the end of episode 3, which would be very interesting, because obviously it's gonna, like, obviously throughout the season they got to, like, really reconnect the characters. And now that I think about it, in the shot in the season 7 trailer, I keep thinking of, like, Walking the World Beyond season 2, but the season 7 trailer, we do get to see Morgan talking in front of a CRM helicopter, basically to, like, what I did think was, like, Victor at first. But now that I think about it, I do think that CRM helicopter that Morgan and Grace are staying in from the season 7 trailer with, like, talking to somebody over, like, a walkie-talkie, is now that I think about it, I do think that's Al that he's talking to, or the CRM that he's talking to and everything. And maybe this is not him talking to Victor, but yeah, like I said, Al, the CRM and everything, this is how Morgan gets reconnected with Al and a bunch of the other people, because we do get to see in the season 7, like, main extended trailers that Al will, like, meet Morgan inside the wasteland. So maybe Al does come eventually over to, like, the wasteland area away from the CRM, and obviously our buddy inside the CRM, to come over and help Morgan and the rest of the people and everything, because obviously Morgan and Grace will have a rough run-in with the CRM eventually in season, like, 7, because we did get a tiny teaser of, like, Morgan and, like, Grace fighting off against the CRM, or, like, what I do believe was a CRM soldier in episode 2 when, like, they shot someone on the road. So I do feel there will be, like, obviously a bit of a feud between Morgan and Grace and the CRM and everything, as shown in the season 7 trailer, but obviously eventually they will be able to find Al and talk to her and everything, and that's how they'll all reconnect. But that was the trailer for Fear the Walking Dead season 7 episode 3, and there's a lot to be excited about in this episode, like the beginning of the All That War feud between Morgan and Victor Strand, because I'm very excited to see how that turns out and everything. Will, like, Morgan kill Victor? Will Victor die in general? What will happen between that feud? And I'm very, like, excited to see them talking and everything after, like, not talking for a pretty long time, because obviously according to the sign inside June and John Sr.'s, like, bunker, the, like, spread of the nuclear wasteland and everything, the fallout has been going on for 69 days. I do wonder what that 296 days to opening does mean, because obviously they do eventually go into the wasteland of nuclear fallout and everything in this episode. And obviously I do wonder who Victor is talking about in the trailer when he does say bring them or him and everything. Does he mean Morgan? Does he mean Mo? Does he mean John and June Sr.? Does it mean maybe the bounty hunter that's after Morgan? That bounty hunter's brother, but who knows and everything. I really can't wait for this episode. But like I said, that was my breakdown and talk about video for the Fear the Walking Dead Season 7, Episode 3 trailer. Make sure to leave your thoughts down below in the trailers. If there's anything that I did miss in the trailer that you guys did see that I didn't, make sure to comment that down below. And just in general, make sure to answer a lot of the questions I did ask in this video and everything, so we can have a discussion down below in the comments. And make sure to, like, comment down below what you guys are most excited to see in this episode, because there's tons to, like, be excited for. And as per usual, make sure to link this trailer down below, and I highly recommend you guys go take a look at it and everything for yourselves, because it is really cool. But yeah, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more latest in the Walking Dead universe, more breakdowns, theories, explaining videos, reviews, and theory videos and stuff like this and everything. And yeah, see you guys later, my amigos, and peace out.